Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ IAS English channel. My name is Shubham Sagar and today we'll be doing lecture 9 which is about Buddhism. So the point is, again, we have to understand the chronology, what we are doing and why we are doing what we are doing. So in the previous lecture, which was lecture 8, we have talked about orthodox schools, 6 orthodox schools. This orthodox and heterodox sects, you will keep on hearing about them. I will just first of all tell you about these words. You have to understand these words. So orthodox school, the previous lecture, lecture 8, we have talked about 6 schools: Samkhya Yoga, Nyaya Vaisheshika, Purimansha and Uttarvimansha, right? Uttarvimansha school is also known as Vedanta school. Today we have to talk about heterodox schools. Orthodox school accepted the authority of Vedas, these 6 schools, which we have talked about yesterday. Heterodox school, which will be starting from today, we'll talk about Buddhism, because you all know how UPSC love Buddhism. You know, the first love of UPSC is Buddhism. Although these days they have also deviated towards Mongols and Sangam age, but yes, Buddhism is the everlasting love of UPSC. So we have to talk about Buddhism in detail. Then we have to solve a lot of PYQs on Buddhism. Fine. So we'll do that. So Buddhism is one of the heterodox sects which emerged around 6th century BC. It is one of the 64 heterodox sects. Just like Buddhism, there were many 63. We have known about 63 more according to Upinder Singh's Ancient and Early Medieval India book. But maybe there were more, we don't know about them. So Buddhism is one, Jainism, then Charvaka, which is also known as Lokayat school. Then you have Ajivika school. So Jainism, Charvaka and Ajivika, we'll talk about them tomorrow. Today we have to focus on Buddhism, which is one of the heterodox school. Now let me tell you something. When we talk about Buddhism, Jainism, when we talk about orthodox or heterodox school, even within Buddhism, so one meaning we have seen about Buddhism is like orthodox school is orthodox school which accepted the authority of Vedas, 6 orthodox school. We have studied about them yesterday. Heterodox school which rejected the authority of Vedas, around 64 heterodox sects are there which emerged around 6th century BC. 4 are very important: Buddhism, Jainism, Charvaka and the Ajivika sect. Charvaka is also known as Lokaya. So we don't have any text of Charvaka and Ajivika, if I'm not wrong. Whatever we are knowing about Charvaka and Ajivika sect, which we'll talk about in detail tomorrow, we are knowing them from Buddhist and Jaina text. And in these Buddhist and Jaina text, they are criticizing or they are doing a lot of criticism of Ajivika and Charvaka. From this, we are deducing that they must have been popular during their time. Otherwise, why would you criticize an ordinary person? He has to be something special if you're criticizing, right? So again, so hope you are understanding. So when we are talking about orthodox and heterodox sect in that manner, that is one thing. Here also in Buddhism, you will have an orthodox school. Here the meaning of orthodox is original. So what is that original school? We call it Theravada, from which later on you will see Hinayana emerges. So this is the original school. Initially, most of the Buddhist followers, if not all, belong to this Theravada or Hinayana sect. Then you have heterodox school within Buddhism as well. So don't get confused with these terms. You will witness these terms. You can get confused in these terms, and that's why I'm telling you. One is a broader definition of orthodox and heterodox school, which is also known as Astic and Gnostic school, which has little to do with God and they have more to do with the acceptance or rejection of rejection of Veda as a ultimate authority. So Astic school, 6 Astic school, we have studied about them yesterday. Gnostic school or heterodox sect, Buddhism, Jainism, Charvaka, Ajivika. And within Buddhism also there will be an orthodox school, that is the original school, Theravada or Hinayana. And within Buddhism also you will have a heterodox school, that is which emerged later on. And in this you hear about Mahasanghikas, which will later on develop into Mahayana school. So please understand these terms. These terms are actually important. Good evening everyone. And you will witness these terms a lot. So Buddhism and Jainism. So this is a reaction, or these 64 heterodox sects, out of which we are talking about Buddhism and Jainism here, they emerged as a reaction against Brahmanical supremacy. And again, we have talked about them when we were talking about later Vedic period per se. We have discussed how rituals and sacrifices became so important during that particular period, and because of which there were certain rituals and sacrifices which could be done by specific Brahmanas. Some rituals and sacrifices took months and months, some even took years. So all these things led to Brahmanical dominance, and because of which there was a reaction. We have already talked about this hierarchy, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. In Purusha Shukta hymn of Rig Vedic Samhita, instead of Kshatriya, you had Rajanya. So Buddhism and Jainism emerged against this whole Brahmanical dominance. Plus, we had a ladder. When we are talking about Buddhism and Jainism, we have talked about in Varna system, you had a ladder. You have Brahmana, you have Kshatriya, you have Vaishya, you have Sudra. So Brahman is at the top. These three people who are below it, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, they are not liking it. Generally what happens when you have such an hierarchy, so reaction would generally come from the bottom portion. It should come from Shudra society or Vaishya society, but you will see even Mahavira or Buddha, they were from the Kshatriya clan. So this is actually a very interesting fact which we have to keep in mind. Fine. So all these factors led to emergence of Buddhism and Jainism, and that's what they are writing here. Out of these 64, Buddhism and Jainism came to the forefront, and then there will be Ajivika and Charvaka as well. What else? Causes of the origin of these sects, we have discussed about them. Have a look at these points. Revolt against Brahmanical dominance. We are continuously talking about this, what happened in the later part of later Vedic period. We have even talked about the different kinds of rituals and sacrifices. Ashwamedha, Vajapeya, Rajasuya sacrifices, what these sacrifices were. You can go back to Vedic period lecture also, that was lecture 3, and you can revise them. So this is one reason. And again, the interesting part here is, this is a revolt against or reaction against, rather than the word revolt, which is a little bit more extreme, you can write here reaction against Brahmanical dominance. And the interesting part is, rather than Shudra and Vaishya reacting, Kshatriyas reacted, which were at the second position. Although many people believe that Brahman and Kshatriya were almost at the equal level. Fine. Then patronizing of these sects by Vaishya community. Although the direct revolt or direct reaction was done by Kshatriya, Mahavira and Buddha were Kshatriya, but they must have got support from people, and Vaishya community, who are generally traders by nature, they gave patronage to these sects and they became the follower of these sects. You can even see right now also, if you see Jaina follower in Rajasthan region, Swetambar, Digambar, etc., you will see most of them belongs to the trading class. Buddhism has a much larger following now, and it is not only confined to one trading class or the other, but again, initially the patronage was given by these Vaishya community. Fine. 6th century BCE, when we were talking about Mahajanpada period, then we have talked about that how 6th century BCE was a, good evening Kavya. So how 6th century BCE was a period of revolution, political revolution, because 16 Mahajanpada arised, economic revolution because surplus production happened as they were settled around Gangetic plain, which led to second urbanization, economic revolution. And this is cultural revolution which we are talking about. Emergence of 64 heterodox sects, plurality of culture. Fine. And then the third part, simple method of these new sects. What we have discussed earlier, certain rituals and sacrifices could go on for months, some went on for even years, specialized by certain Brahmins. All these things, like if you are comparing them with these Buddhist and Jaina, things, you will see that they are much simpler to follow. If we talk about Jainism per se, you have to follow Panch Mahavrata. We'll come to Jainism in detail later on. Panch Mahavrata. The mnemonic of which is AAABS. Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya and Satya. So these are much easier to follow. Even if you talk about Buddhism per se, you talk about 8-fold path. So here you talk about visa lame, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. They're talking about middle path, don't do anything in extreme. So these things are much simpler to follow compared to the complex rituals of the Vedic age, and all these factors led to the origin of Buddhism, Jainism and other 62 heterodox sects. Sources of Buddhism and their ideology. Now this is important because UPSC loves to ask about Buddhist text and Jaina text. So here when we talk about Buddhism also, when we talk about Jainism also, you will hear different terms. Please understand these terms. One is canonical text, other is non-canonical text. Anyone having any idea what are these canonical text and non-canonical text? What do they mean? Canonical text and non-canonical text. So canonical text, what do they mean? These are religious texts, or these are the texts which, let's say if I talk about Buddhism or Buddhist canonical text. So these are the texts which should be followed by the followers of Buddhism. So when we talk about canonical text of Buddhism, we talk about Tripitaks. Tripitaks. Tipitaks, we have talked about it. Vinaya Pitak, Sutta Pitak, Abhidhamma Pitak. So these are the Tipitaks and canonical text. So religious text in nature. Non-canonical, these are not religious in nature. You shouldn't be, it's not like you have to follow them. And here we will talk about Vishuddhi Magga. Vishuddhi Magga. Here we will talk about, let's say, Deepavamsha, Mahavamsha, all these kind of texts will come under non-canonical text, which talks about Buddhism, which tells you about Buddhism, but it's not like if you are a follower of Buddha, you have to follow these non-canonical texts, be it Vishuddhi Magga or, Deepavamsha or Mahavamsha. But from our exam perspective, these books are very important. Why these books are very important? Because UPSC loves to ask these kind of questions, which are Buddhist texts, which are Jaina texts. So Vishuddhi Magga, Buddhist text, Deepavamsha, Mahavamsha, they tell you about the history of, apart from telling you about Buddhism, these texts, they also tell you about the history of Sri Lanka. In fact, it is said that Deepavamsha is one of the oldest texts which talks about Sri Lanka. 3rd or 4th century AD, this Deepavamsha was written. So that's why they become important. You have to understand these kind of texts, whether they are canonical or non-canonical in nature, whether they are Buddhist or Jaina text. When we talk about Vishuddhi Magga, apart from the Tipitaks, it is said that after Tipitaks, the one book which is considered sacred or sacrosanct by Buddhist people is Vishuddhi Magga. So we should be knowing about these things. Fine, bros. Then when we are talking about canonical texts, which are much more important than non-canonical texts, Tipitaks, Vinaya, Sutta and Abhidhamma Pitak, we have talked about them. So what does Vinaya Pitak talks about? Rules and regulations for monks and nuns. Then you have Sutta Pitak, where you have the teachings of Buddha. And then at the end you have Abhidhamma Pitak, which is about the ethical attributes, what ethics you should follow as a Buddhist follower. And again, if you people know, see, understand one thing, these 3 Tipitaks, they were not all written at the same time. Vinaya and Sutta Pitak, they were written during the period of First Buddhist Council. And when we are talking about Abhidhamma Pitak, it was written during the time of Third Buddhist Council. So these are some small but minute things which you have to keep in mind. Vinaya, Sutta Pitak written during First Buddhist Council, and Abhidhamma Pitak completed during Third Buddhist Council. UPSC loves to ask about these Buddhist Council, and generally we remember Ravapaka, Rajgir, Vaishali, Patliputra and Kashmir, where this Buddhist Council happened. Now we also have to remember what things happened. Like when we are talking about Buddhism, we discussed that inside Buddhism also you will have Orthodox school. And one Orthodox school is this Theravada school. Sir, what was Sri Lanka called in this book or era? It may be Shillong or something else or something similar to that. Again, based on the ancient name. One name is Shillong, so you have to look into that darshana. But yes, Deepavamsha and Mahavamsha, they talk about the ancient history of Sri Lanka, starting from like 3rd, 4th century AD. And they were written during, Deepavamsha was especially written during 3rd and 4th century AD. They talk about the much like. That is the earliest book which we have got. Maybe some other books have been written about Sri Lanka, but this is the earliest book which we have got. Cool. So please remember this, like Second Buddhist Council, you have to remember the most of the people, what they are doing when they are talking about, or when they are reading rather, 4 Buddhist Council, they are confining themselves to who was the king and who was presiding over the council. Sinhala, you can say that. Ceylon and Singhalese are the people also who are living in Sri Lanka. So again, let's come back to the point which we are discussing. Apart from the president and the king who presided the Buddhist council, you have to also remember the important features of them. So First Buddhist Council, this. Third, we know this. Second Buddhist Council, we talked about the Theravada school. It later on got, divided into Stharviravadins and Mahasanghikas. And from this Mahasangika will later on, Mahayana school will emerge. Fourth Buddhist Council, this Mahayana and Hinayana sect will emerge. So small but important facts you have to keep in mind. Fine. So let's continue, and that's what they have written here. Like when we are talking about canonical texts, these are the texts which Buddhist followers should follow. And in this, you talk about Tipitaks. And this is there is an order also related to Pitaks. First Pitak is Vinaya, second is Sutta, and third is Abhidhamma. The name which you are seeing here, Upali and Ananda, these were the immediate disciple. And if you read about them in detail, Ananda and Upali, you will realize that some scholars believe that Anand has a very good memory. We call it eidetic memory. Eidetic memory means a memory where you remember a lot of stuff. So they were like, Anand, tell us what Buddha taught. And he said all those things and that were compiled in Sutta Pitaka. Upali talked about the rules and regulations. Fine. Abhidhamma Pitaka is all about moral science, moral attributes, ethical attributes. And that is what is written here. You can have a look at it. Then the non-canonical texts. These Pitaks are divided into Nikayas. We have talked about these Nikayas when we were talking about Mahajanpadas. When we were talking about 16 Mahajanpadas, and those 16 Mahajanpadas were mentioned in a particular Nikaya that we have discussed earlier. That particular Nikaya we can remember by the acronym VISA. What does VISA stands for, Manisha? So 16 Mahajanpadas were mentioned in one particular Nikaya, and there we have talked about these Nikayas. Just like Vedas are divided into Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka and Upanishad is the last part, so it is known as Vedanta. Similarly, these Pitaks are divided into Nikayas. So if there is any Nikaya, it has to be a part of some Pitak or the other. So we have talked about these Nikayas for the first time in this prelims crash course when we were talking about Mahajanpad, and that particular Nikaya was Angutar Nikaya. Angutar Nikaya. So please remember this, Angutar Nikaya is important. And then I had given you a homework that you have to find out Angutar Nikaya is a part of which particular Pitak. You can post it in the comment section if you know the answer. So canonical text which should be followed by a follower of a particular sect. So non-canonical text, it's not needed that you have to follow each and everything written in these texts. So Vishuddhimagga, we'll talk about Vishuddhimagga and Deepavamsha and Mahavamsha later on. Milinda Panho. We have talked about Milinda Panho also when we have talked about postmodern period. When we were discussing postmodern period lecture and we were talking about Indo-Greeks or we were talking about Bactrians, Indo-Greeks or Bactrians, these are the people which stayed in the northwest frontier province region, which is currently in Pakistan, even after Alexander, he died in Babylon and many of his followers left. These people stayed in that particular region. That region is very rich culture-wise because even Achaemenians, the Persians, they stayed in that region. Then these Indo-Greeks, they also stayed in that particular region. So these Indo-Greeks, which were known as Bactrians, because they have settled in the Bactria region of Afghanistan, one of these Indo-Greeks or Bactrian was Menander, King Menander, who had a talk with this Nagasena. Milinda Panho is a PYQ. UPSC has already asked question on Milinda Panho, so you cannot make mistake here. Visa, very good here. So Visa is the mnemonic given by Manisha in the chat box. Vinaya, Sutta and Abhidhamma. Very good, Manisha. So again, Manisha has raised a doubt regarding the PDFs. At the end of this lecture, I will show you a link. And that link is there in the description only. You click on it, you will get the PDFs. Let's say the PDF has not been put there on that particular website. It will be put there like in 1 or 2 days. So don't worry about it. So Milinda Panho already asked, King Menander is asking with sage, Buddhist sage Nagasena, what is the purpose of life, bro? Why are we here? And this is similar to Akbar and his Ibadat Khana. We are just trying to do a comparison here. So Milinda Panho, remember it. We have discussed this earlier. How is your life going? And King Menander is like, this is a river of my tears. People feel like I'm a king, so I'm very happy, but see what is happening here. So this was the talk which happened between King Menander and sage Nagasena because I was there, so I heard it. That's a joke. That's a sarcasm. So sources of Buddhism and their ideology, and here we are talking about non-canonical text. Canonical text which has to be or must be or should be followed by followers of a particular sect, the Pitaks. Non-canonical texts, Milinda Panho, Vishuddhimagga, Deepavamsha, Mahavamsha, these are some famous non-canonical texts which you cannot forget. When we'll come to Jainism, we have already talked about texts like Bhagavati Sutra, Bhagavati Sutra, Parishtha Parvan, etc. We'll talk about them later on also when we'll come to Jainism tomorrow. So Vishuddhimagga written by Buddha Ghosh. And again, it's a very reliable source of Buddhist history and people believe that outside of the three Pitaks, this particular Vishuddhimagga is very sacred. So Buddhist followers, they follow it a lot, Vishuddhimagga. And then Deepavamsha, Mahavamsha, they serve dual purpose. We have just discussed what dual purpose they serve. Apart from talking about Buddhism and its attributes, they also talk about the history of Sri Lanka, as you people wrote in the comment section. At that time, it was known as Sinhala. Later on, it was called Ceylon. So Deepavamsha is the earliest of the two. Out of these two, Deepavamsha is the earliest of the two and it was written around 4th or 5th century AD. So please keep that in mind. Fine. Again, these are non-canonical texts. Then the Buddha story. What is the story? Many of you may have, like, I think most of you have heard about this particular story of Buddha. What happened? You know, he was a prince, and he was a very luxurious prince, and his father ensured that he is not leaving the confines of his palace and everything. And then once, when he was like 29 or 28, around, means 9 years of age, he went outside, he saw different people, and then he realized, you know, an old people, a person who has died, an ascetic and all those. And then he realized that, what am I doing? What is the purpose of life? I have to leave everything and I have to seek the purpose of life. So all these stories you know, but here there will be certain critical terms which we have to keep on, like we have to keep in mind. Like there was a place called Senani, where there was a person or a ma'am who gave milk and rice to Buddha. Where is that particular place? There are different terms which we should know, because questions can be asked from those areas. Fine. And then there are different footprints. When we talk about Mahayana and Hinayana school, we talk about how Mahayana later developed. Hinayana is the original or orthodox school, where they believe that Buddha is one among us. On the other hand, Mahayana believed that Buddha is a god. Hinayana believed in symbolic worshipping of Buddha. Mahayana believed in anthropomorphic worship of Buddha. And Buddha, that means they created statues and etc. And you know, they started worshipping Buddha by creating all those Mathura and Gandhara school of art, statues, etc. So here, when we talk about symbolic form, which you can see in Amaravati school of art, which is in Andhra. So in like generally what happens in Gandhara school of art, you have anthropomorphic representation of Buddha. In Mathura school of art, you have anthropomorphic representation of Buddha. On the other hand, in Amaravati school of art, you have both anthropomorphic representation of Buddha and symbolic representation of Buddha. What does symbolic representation means? Like horse. We'll talk about the story of Buddha. So horse denotes Mahabhinish Kramana. Mahabhinish Kramana. What does Mahabhinish Kramana means? Great departure. Great departure means he left his house. These are certain symbols. So great departure. People tree, that shows nirvana, that he attained enlightenment. Fine. Then you have something known as stupas or footprints. These two are generally used to show Mahaparinirvana. Mahaparinirvana. That is the death of Buddha. So there are different terms. Lotus is there. They have different purposes. So these were the symbolic representation which Hinayana school believed in. But Mahayana was like, no bro, this is so outdated. We do not believe in horse, people, tree, stupa, footprints. We will show Buddha in anthropomorphic form, in human-like form. So you have to keep that in mind. We'll talk about them. So again, the story is here. The sacred biography is there in Sutta and Vinay Pitak. Cool. We know about Sutta and Vinay Pitak. And here the story is, again, there are certain points which you have to understand. Gautam Buddha's father, he was from Sakya clan and his mother was from Kaushal dynasty. To understand this, please, let's go back a bit. We have talked about this map in detail when we were reading about Mahajanpadas. When we were doing Mahajanpadas, we have seen this map like you have not even seen your girlfriend like earlier. We have seen it from so close. So here is the Sakya clan. Buddha belonged to this Sakya clan because his father belonged to this Sakya clan. And the Kaushal is very close to Shakya clan, and Buddha's mother was from this particular clan, like she was a Kaushal princess. So please remember these facts. They can ask you that Buddha's mother was a Shakya princess or something like that. So she was a Kaushal princess and she was married in the Shakya clan. There were questions which has been asked by UPSC earlier. Which of the following kingdom is associated with the life, or was Buddha associated during his lifetime? Kaushal is very close here. His mother belongs to Kaushal. So he has to be associated with Kaushal. Once upon a time he must have gone, once or twice he must have gone, or even more than that, he must have gone to his Nanihal, his mother's place, right? So that's how you can also eliminate option if you have a, if you pay attention to where Buddha was born, which are the places which are very near to it. We already know that in Magad region, he attained enlightenment. So Kaushal and Magad has to be associated, or Buddha must have visited these two places during his lifetime. Kaushal because his mother was from there and it's very close to his place, and Magad because we know it, he was here and he did so many things here. And then again, we also know he went to Sarnath and UP. So that's how you eliminate options. You don't have to know for sure. There will be certain questions, 10, 20 or even more than that, which you may have confusion. That's how you eliminate option, and maps helps a lot. I don't know why people generally don't pay attention to map in history. It helps you a lot. Cool. So let's come back. So that's what they are saying. He was born in Shakya clan in Lumbini. There are certain places, 4 sacred places associated with Buddha. One where he was born, that is Lumbini, one where he was born. If you know the 4 places, the 4 sacred places associated with Buddha, you can post it in the comment section. So first is, and these are the important points. So first is here, that is Lumbini, which is in Nepal, Lumbini. Second place is here, like in the Magadh region, that is Bodh Gaya. Let me write it here only, Bodh Gaya, where he attained Nirvana. And then third will be nearer to UP, that is Sarnath, where he gave his first sermon to those people who has left him when he was very confused about life. We'll talk about those guys. And the fourth is Kushinagar, where he died. Fourth is this place, Kushinagar, where he attained Mahaparinirvana. And this also we have discussed in the previous lectures, that these 4 places like Kushinagar belongs to which particular Mahajanpad. And how Kushinagar, and there is another place, Buddha attained Mahaparinirvana here. Even Mahavira attained Mahaparinirvana or death here in Malla Mahajanpad, which was known as Pawapuri. So these places you have to remember, these are important places, these 4 places. Lumbini, Bodh Gaya, Sarnath and Kushinagar. So let's come back, and the story is there. He was like, he was raised by his stepmother Gautami, because his mother died at a very early age, and that at a very early age he was married. This is not an early age. We are talking about a period which is almost 2500 years back or more. At the age of 16, this is nothing. Even our grandfather or great grandfather has got married at 10. So for that period, it was a very old age, 16. Right now I'm 30 plus, I'm still unmarried. So that's a different matter altogether. But yes, 16 is not a, less age for that period. It's a good age. Again, let's not go there. That will be controversial. So again, he had a son and all those stuff is written there. We don't need to do PhD on his life. We have to extract the most important information, which will be helping us in eliminating options when it comes to questions related to Buddha, especially in UPSC Pre, although these facts will also help you in mains. So again, at the age of 29, you must have heard about this story again, like multiple times. He saw an old man, a sick man, a corpse, that is a dead person, and an ascetic, a person who has left everything behind. I so want to do it. I think many of you want to do it, but again, we have compulsions that you want to leave everything behind. And he saw that this guy was so happy or so content. He was like, why is he so happy when we are seeing so many things around us, old man, sick man? And then he realized that he has to understand the purpose of life. Maybe this ascetic person knows the purpose of life. He doesn't know because he has been pampered a lot. Exactly, he was pampered a lot in his early age. Fine. And then he will leave his horse, whom he love a lot, Kanthaka. Generally, UPSC does not ask these kind of questions, that what was the name of the horse of Buddha. But these terms are important. That Mahabhinishkamana means what? Nirvana means what? Mahaparinirvana means what? So Mahabhinishkamana is his departure, great renunciation. And that is shown by horse, because he loved his horse a lot. I love you, horse, he said to his horse, and then he left his home and wandered for 6 years. It was not like when he left his home, he has already decided that he would wander for 6 years. No, it just happened. Sometimes it's like, I will come back after 6 months. But then you start and you go on and you go on. And then you realize, oh my God, time has passed by so quick. I was just reading somewhere that it's already been 5 years since COVID happened. It just feels like yesterday when, you and our relatives were running here and there. So yes, time passes by very quickly, and maybe the same thing happened for Buddha also. 6 years passed like this. Again, the same thing, he meditated. Now see, the thing is, he did so many things. He wanted to know the purpose of life, as we all do. That what is the exact purpose of life. And then he started generally what you do. When you are preparing for UPSC, you look for people who has knowledge and you mingle with them. You try to understand what we have to study, what we have to not. Similarly, here also, he is trying to meet with those people whom other people believe that they know the purpose of life. So he met with these teachers, Alari, Kalama, blah, blah, blah. You can have a look at these names. And then along with him, there were other friends of his, 4 or 5 friends of his. All these guys were meeting with these people. They were meditating. They were, not eating anything. And they were like, no, I will not eat, or I will not do anything until I know the purpose of life. So all these things were happening. And he was not convinced with whatever he was seeing or witnessing. And during that period, his friends also left him, who were wandering along with him. So here also you can understand, or you can see that when things are not going on for you, nobody will be with you. But when things are going hunky-dory for you, people will be like, I knew it, this guy was going to be a genius, or this girl is going to be a genius. So always keep a tab on those people who were there with you in your, bad days. Many people say it, but this is actually very true. So again, keep that in mind. So where were we? So thus being unconvinced, again, he left all the teachers. He was going on his foot and all these things. He was like, no, I will do pinas. This extreme pinas, we will later on see with Jainism. And that's what differentiate Buddhism from Jainism. And many scholars also believe that this is what separated Buddhism from Jainism. He was doing those things which later on Jainism would say that, okay, do salekhana, do santhara, don't eat anything, don't drink anything, and your soul will leave your body and you will die. So these things he was doing, and then he realized, no, extreme pinas, all these things are not the answer. On the other hand, Jainism is like, no, if you are doing bad activities, then the solution is extreme pinas only. And this is what separates Buddhism from Jainism. We'll see those questions also, which UPSC has asked on this. So you have to pay a tab here. Why? Buddha was advocating for middle path, because he has done this extreme pinas and he has realized that, bro, this is not the answer. This is not how I will get nirvana. And even if I do get nirvana, this I will not suggest to other people. Although the reality was he did not attain nirvana by this, and he was like, dude, I will die before attaining my nirvana. So let me eat some milk rice first. So here Sujata ma'am will help him. Cool. So he was unconvinced, and then there was a village called Senani. Senani is in Bihar. He met a ma'am called Sujata who gave him milk rice. When I was a kid, I used to love a lot milk rice. I'm from Bihar. So in my place, they give you chuda, that is, chuda and dahi and then gud. Oh my God, that food is so awesome. I so want to eat that. I can eat it, but when you eat it in your home, it feels so heavenly. So he was eating this milk rice and he felt the same heaven in his head. He felt heavenly. And then he was like, okay, I got my energy back. So now I will meditate for 6 years and I will not, go up from this or leave this particular place until I know the true purpose of life. Then there will be a lady or a, demon called Mara. She will come because he's doing, meditation, Om, Bhurbhuvasva, whatever. He is taking breathe in, breathe out, all these things he are doing. So when you become very serious about life, you will see distraction will come. Same thing will happen with Buddha. There will be a distraction, multiple distraction, but this is a very major distraction, a Mara, a temptation. Now, many people believe that this is a, this can be anything. This demon Mara or whatever Mara was, this can be a beautiful girl, this can be anything, which tried to entice Buddha. But Buddha did not leave his place. He was like, no, bro, go away. No, girl, go away. I will not be getting enticed. I have to attain the nirvana. And here there is this Bhumi Sparsh Mudra, where there is a goddess earth, and Buddha is telling to goddess earth that, see goddess earth, I was not enticed by Mara and I attained nirvana. So this is Bhumi Sparsh Mudra, and UPSC has asked question on this Bhumi Sparsh Mudra. So that's why I'm telling you these stupid stories, so that you can remember different mudras. What is Bhumi Sparsh Mudra and how it is associated with Mara, and Mara can be anything. And it is a thing which will entice you. Anything can entice you these days. Counter-Strike entice a lot of guys. Cool. So this is the place in Bihar where Sujata offered milk rice to Gautama, and it is believed that in this particular place in Bihar, Sujata Stupa has also been erected. Stupa, which contains the relics of not only Buddha, but even the close followers and close people associated with Buddha. Like here, Sujata ma'am is very close to him. If she had not given milk rice, God knows what would have happened to Buddha. Sir, it sounds so delicious that it is making me hungry. There is no parallel to our regional food that is in sync with the weather condition. Exactly, Manisha. I totally agree with you. So, life of Buddha we are talking about. Story of Mara, the Lord of Illusion. And again, this is just a story. Many scholars now believe that this Mara can be anything. This can be one beautiful girl or multiple beautiful girls. This is illusion. This is enticement. Buddha was not getting enticed to this particular Mara, whoever that be. And again, this is depicted by Bhumi Sparsh Mudra, where he's talking to Goddess Earth that I was not getting, or I did not get enticed by Mara and I got my nirvana. Cool. So story of Mara, the Lord of Illusion, happened to distract Buddha from his vow. But Buddha, Gautam, now again, there is a story for all of us. You people are preparing for UPSC, you know. So you may get in, you go to library to study, but maybe apart from study, you are doing everything else because you are getting enticed by external forces or external agents, he or she or anything, you know. So please remember this story of Mara, remember Bhumi Sparsh Mudra, and just touch the earth and say, ki, thank you very much, I am going and I am studying. I will study now. You know, don't get here means get enticed by any Mara right now. You have to focus on your goal. You have to attain your nirvana. You have to clear UPSC CSE 2025. So we are talking about life of Buddha. He did not get enticed by Mara. He, at the age of 35, he got nirvana at Gaya under a peepal tree. And this is Uruvela, which is known as Bodh Gaya. And please remember the name of the river also. Uruvela is the old name of which particular city? Bodh Gaya. Or is it associated with Kuruvilla, or there was a baller earlier, something related to that name like Uruvela. But again, Uruvela, old name of Bodh Gaya, and Niranjana river. These are the names which you have to remember. And then this is again something where I will write citation needed. Citation needed because these days I am very scared about saying anything. Whenever I am telling you any such stuff that Pushyamitra Sunga tried to destroy this tree or King Shashank tried to destroy this tree, citation needed. I am not saying it. I made a video on, Tamil Nadu and there is excavation which happened, iron excavation, etc. So much hate comments I got. This, I did not say anything on my own, bro. Right now also whatever I am saying, generally I am quoting from Upinder Singh's Ancient and Early Medieval India or some other books. Our thoughts don't matter at all. The books matters, and always keep that in mind, you know. So different scholars, historians vary, like they don't converge, but generally what happens, there is a particular school of thought where maximum historians converge on. So now many people believe that Sunga, Pushyamitra Sunga, he was an upholder of Brahmanism, and during that period he also tried to execute or persecute Buddhist followers. That is a general belief. But you can always write citation needed or according to some scholar. Always play safe. You don't know who is checking your copy. And similarly, King Shashank. We have talked about King Shashank when we were talking about Harsha. Harshvardhana 606 to 647 AD. And when we were seeing that how Harsha, who was a part of Pushyabhuti dynasty, which is also known as Vardhana dynasty, whose earlier capital was Thanesar, how they shifted their capital to Kannauj after fighting a battle, because Mokri king Grahavarman was ruling over that particular area, Thanesar, and they were attacked by Harsha and later Gupta ruler. They killed Grahavarman, who was also Rajashri's husband. Rajashri was Harsha's sister. So we had a talk regarding this. So those haters didn't read ethics, so they had emotional intelligence. Okay. So we have talked about Harsha, we have talked about Shashank. If you want to know more about Shashank and his Gauda dynasty, you can go to Harsha Vardhana dynasty, Vakatakas Vardhana and Sangam age that we have done earlier. Cool. So let's move on. Life of Buddha we are talking about. First sermon. So again, this is also important. We have talked about Mahabhinishramana, that was great departure, his first sermon. Anything first, we have discussed this. Your first love, your first this, your first that, your first crush. Everything first is very important in life. Similarly, Buddha's first sermon is very, very important, and it is known as Dharmchak Pravartan. You know, first sermon. Where it happened? Sarnath. Where is Sarnath? UP. This is one of the 4 places associated with the life of Buddha which you cannot forget. Kushinagar, then Bodh Gaya, then Sarnath, and then, first Lumbini, and then Bodh Gaya, and then Sarnath, and then Kushinagar. In the chronological order, you can, maybe, when I'm saying this, I'm just remembering that maybe they will give you this chronology that these are the places, Lumbini, and then they will give you Sarnath, and then they will give you Kushinagar, and they will give you Bodh Gaya, and they will tell you to arrange them in chronological order based on the events which happened. So again, let me give you this, and you people tell me in the comment section what is the correct order. So I'm just writing it in a haphazard manner. I'm just writing Kushinagar, I'm writing Sarnath, and I'm writing, let's say, Bodh Gaya or Lumbini. So I am just asking you people, you can post it in the comment section, what according to you is the correct chronological order? Which place will come first in Buddha's life, which will come second, which will come third, and which will come fourth? So you can post it in the comment section. Cool. So again, they are talking about here like Dharmchak Pravartan. These are the words. Mahabhinishramana, great departure. Dharmchak Pravartan, first sermon. And we have seen Nirvana, Mahaparinirvana. Now here there are terms. Arhat. We are mainly talking from pre-perspective, but these things will help you in mains also. Arhat and Bodhisattva. You have to understand the difference between these terms. How Arhats are different from Bodhisattvas. What separate Arhats from Bodhisattva? You know, okay, Umesh has given the answer. So what separates Arhat from Bodhisattva? See, when we will talk about Mahayana school, Bodhisattva is a concept of Mahayana school. And who are these Bodhisattvas? We'll talk about so many Bodhisattvas, Padmapani, Maitreya, Manjushri. There are different Bodhisattvas. We'll talk about them. Chittij Garbha. So these are the people, these are the Bodhisattvas, which is a concept of Mahayana school of Buddhism, which will delay their own salvation and will help other people attain salvation. These are the Bodhisattvas, which will delay attaining their own nirvana and they will help other people attain their nirvana. On the other hand, Arhat are those people who have attained their nirvana. That's what is written here. So Arhat and Bodhisattva, they are not same, they are different. So Arhat is a perfected person, one who has gained insight into the true nature of existence and has achieved nirvana. They have achieved nirvana. Bodhisattvas, they have not achieved nirvana. They will help you attain nirvana and then maybe later on they will achieve, or they will focus on their own nirvana. So they are very selfless in that regard. And that's why when we'll talk about Bodhisattvas, we'll talk about different kind of Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattva who have compassion, Bodhisattva who are, who have energy and who have thunderbolt, Vajrayana and all those. We'll talk about them. So there are different kind of Bodhisattvas having different attributes. And in Ajanta caves, they have shown some of these Bodhisattvas. Padmapani, so much compassion he or she has. So life of Buddha we are talking about. Then what happened? Buddha became very popular, his thinking, his philosophy, his middle path. And then there is Arya Sachini. There are terms here associated with Buddha and his teachings. Arya Sachini and then Ashtangika Marg. Forget about the spelling. Different scholars write different spelling. So Arya Sachini, Ashtangika Marg. So what does Arya Sachini means? So here Arya Sachini is 4. So there is suffering in this world. First Arya Sachini. The second Arya Sachini is there is a cause of suffering. Why we are suffering? There is a cause of suffering. Third is there is a solution of suffering. And the fourth is the solution of suffering is following Ashtangika Marg. So Arya Sachini, Ashtangika Marg, all these things became very famous. And then we know what are Ashtangika Marg. These are visa lame, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right meditation or right concentration. So Arya Sachini, Ashtangika Marg, they are associated with each other. Arya Sachini again 4 truths. What are those 4 truths? World has sufferings. Then second, world has, like we have cause of suffering, why people are suffering. Third, there is a solution of suffering. Fourth, the solution of suffering is following Ashtangika Marg. Cool. So Buddha became very famous. He had a good audience who were following the true tenets of Buddha's teaching, and then Sangha came into existence, where these guys who were following Buddha, they became monk and nuns and they started living in Sangha. So initially Buddha was very skeptical about involving or including women into this Sangha. Then we have talked about Anand and Upali, who played a crucial role in the compilation of Vinaya and Sutta Pitaka. They played a crucial role in influencing Buddha, that Buddha sir, please allow, I somewhere taught Buddhism and some people were like, why are you saying Buddha sir? So sometimes I feel so scared. What should I say? What should I not? Because YouTube and everything, they are very good mediums, but they are also like ruthless when it comes to criticism and everything. Generally what happens, we teachers, when we are teaching for so long, we become thick-skinned. Nothing phases us, but still we are human, bro. So something will phase us. So even I cannot say Buddha as sir. Sir is generally taken as a token of respect. When you are adding sir at the end of any person, it is a token of respect. But people take, things to their heart, anything and everything. So again, let's not go there. So Sangha. And then finally attain Mahapad. We have talked about these things. We have talked about Malla Mahajanpad, Kushinara and Pavapuri when we were talking about Mahajanpadas as well. You can go and look at that particular lecture. Now, see the last part. His last words were, all composite things decay, strive diligently. And there is a question mark at the end of this. Why I have written a question mark here? Because different scholars now are saying that there are different last words, but most of the scholars are converging on this thing, that he said something which went on more or less like this. All composite things decay, strive diligently. That means whatever you have right now will not be with you tomorrow. So don't get too attached. Again, non-attachment or, detachment is the core attribute of Buddhism also. We'll talk about this. So again, don't get too attached to things. He gave an analogy of boat also, where he's saying that, let's say you are crossing a particular river and you have a boat. So when you cross that particular river and you had that boat on the bank of the rivers, it's not like, more often than not, mostly you will not take your boat with you. Similarly, whatever I am telling you, Buddha said, whatever I am telling you, these are just upayas and these are just thinkings and thoughts. Don't always carry them with you. If you feel like you need it, carry them. If you feel like you can discard it and adopt new thoughts. Don't just stick on to things, and you have to, some way or the other, or at some point of the time or the other, you have to leave some thoughts and adopt, or take some more or new thoughts. The basic stuff here is don't cling on to things, because whatever is with you right now may or may not be with you tomorrow. So detachment is the way to go. So again, we'll talk about those things. Also, we have to focus on those things where UPSC is focusing. So all these are very important. Lotus and Bull. We talk about Hinayana school. We'll later on talk about Hinayana. We'll talk about Vajrayana. We'll talk about other schools also. So they have their different symbols. So birth is represented by Lotus and Bull. Horse, renunciation, that is Mahabhinishkamana, that is shown by horse, because we know how much he loved his horse. We have talked about it. Bodhi tree is the enlightenment, nirvana. And then Dharmchak Pravartan, his first sermon is by wheel. Footprints or stupa represents Mahaparinirvana. Stupa, which contains the relics. Why footprints? Because footprints show that Buddha at once worked upon this earth. So that also shows Mahaparinirvana. So means keep these points in mind, these words in mind. These are actually important. They have asked these things earlier. So I have given you this analogy, a boat and raft, that when you are crossing a river, you're crossing on a boat and raft, but more often than not, you will not take the boat and raft with you. You will leave it behind. So one should not cling to things, including his teachings. So just use it if it is helping you. If it is not helping you, adopt some new things. Don't cling on to stuff. The teachings are only upaya and are thus not dogma. So these are the points which you have to keep in mind, what he is trying to say. And more important than that was the previous slide, where we have talked about what does lotus and bull stands for, what does horse stands for, what does people tree stands for, what does wheel stands for, what does footprint and stupa stands for. So these are the points which you have to keep in mind. And then we have talked about these doctrines of Buddha, Arya Sachini, Four Noble Truths, and Ashtangika Marg. That is eightfold path. Arya Sachini, there is suffering in this world, there is cause of suffering, there is solution to this suffering, and the solution of this suffering is Ashtangika Marg. So the core of Buddhist doctrines are expressed in Dukkha, truth of suffering. Samudaya, there is a cause of suffering. Nirodha, there is an end of suffering. And how you will end it? By following Magga, that is following the eightfold path, the middle path. Don't do too much in extreme. Just follow the middle path, bro. So again, Four Noble Truths, just check the spelling of inevitable suffering, cause to suffering, end to suffering. End to suffering is contained in eightfold path, Ashtangika Marg, visa lame. Keep on revising visa lame. There was a time when people used to say that in UPSC prelims or mains, in prelims UPSC has already asked preamble, different terms related to preamble. So remember preamble. People used to say that, and UPSC now asks a lot of questions from preamble, one year or the other. Same way, you have to remember eightfold path. Many of the people, they don't remember eightfold path. I'll just show you. So eightfold path, the doctrines of Buddha, most of you, if I ask you, tell me the eightfold path, you won't be remembering it. So just remember visa lane. That will help you a lot. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right meditation, or right concentration. Cool. So these are the eightfold paths which you have to keep in mind. Visa lane will help you. Have a look at them. When I'm writing something again and again, that means that is important. So now, his teachings, Buddha. Dhamma is his teachings and Sangha was where the monks and nuns used to live. Cool. Middle path, eightfold path, and we have talked about middle path, we have talked about eightfold path, we have talked about visa lane, and see here, non-attachment, dying of sense of ego. You must have realized this. The people who are very new in their journey of UPSC, Lumbini both gaya, Sarnath Kushinagar. Very good here, Soumya and Manisha. Like our Indian foreign policy, which is mostly neutral. Very good here. Very good, Manisha. So what we have seen here, non-attachment, dying of sense of ego. People who are very new in their UPSC journey, now you will see them in the libraries, etc., brimming with energy. That energy is good, I'm not saying. But sometimes that energy is too much, you know. They're like, oh my God, I will crack it, I will get rank 1. Yes, you will get rank 1. But you don't need to say your everything to everyone. Generally, you can say affirmations to yourself, but don't keep on saying what your goals are to other people. You may have heard about this in different books, that if you're saying some about your goals to other people, it's like achieving those goals. So you may lose that incentive or, you know, that energy to do that work, because according to your brain, you have already achieved it. So it's good, energy is good. But generally what happens, the more experienced you become in UPSC preparation, if let's say you have given 2 mains or interview or something like that, God forbid you clear your UPSC in 1 attempt, what I'm trying to say is the ego dies. This is one thing good about UPSC preparation, that it kills your ego. You are not that ignorant. That's why generally what happens when I'm in the StudyIQ group and I meet people, or when I was earlier in other institutions, when I meet faculties, I see how mellow they are, more or less, because we have seen everything which generally you can, you know, see in your life. UPSC preparation is one of the toughest part, believe it or not. And generally we become very anti-social in nature, what we have realized. We don't know how to interact with people because we live in our silos. So yes, UPSC preparation teaches you a lot of stuff and it gives you a lot of, you know, hope you are understanding what I'm saying. It kills your ego. And that's what Buddha is talking about, that you have to kill your ego and you have to be little detached. So all these things we have to keep in our mind. Let's focus. So again, ritual actions. They are not saying here, this is actually a very deep sentence which is associated with Buddhism. So we talk about rituals and sacrifices. We know these are heterodox sects, be it Buddhism or Jainism. So obviously they will criticize rituals and sacrifices. And here they are talking about karma. Karma means, in general sense, what is karma? I'm teaching you right now. This is my karma. I did a live session at 3 p.m. today about same-sex marriage, and you know, so that was my karma, and I did other stuff, you know, so that was my karma. But here they are saying that it's not about what you're actually doing. You are studying right now, that is your karma. What is your thinking about others? That is also karma. So karma in Buddhist tradition is result of an action depending upon intention. It's like, I do not want this guy to clear UPSC. This is your karma. You are not doing anything, but your intention is bad. So more than the actual action, intention also matters in Buddhism concept of karma. So keep that in mind. It makes us grounded. I have experienced it real time. Very good, Manisha. So this is a very deeper meaning of, there is a very deeper meaning of karma here when it comes to Buddhist tenets and, or Buddhism, or Buddhist tenets and attributes rather. So Bodhisattva and Arhat. See, whenever we talk about UPSC, smart study, you read PM, you read CM, you read Parliament, you read state legislature. Similarly, when you're reading Bodhisattva, try to compare it with Arhat, which we have seen in the previous slide. Arhat, Bodhisattva similar, but not same. Bodhisattva, they have not attained their nirvana. Arhat have attained their nirvana. So Bodhisattva, enlightened, and Bodhisattva is a concept of Mahayana school. Arhat, if I'm not wrong, is a concept of Hinayana school. You have to check that out. So Bodhisattva, enlightened being, destined to be a Buddha, but purposely remains on earth to teach others, to help others. You know, Maitreya is a future Buddha. So according to Jataka story, you have present Buddha, Gautama, you talk about him. Then there will be a future Buddha. In the past also there were different Buddhas. In different yugs there are different Buddhas. Buddha will be, can or may not be in animal form, in plant form. All these things are there related to Buddha. Again, we don't need to do PhD here. Just remember, in future also there will be a Buddha, and that Buddha will be Maitreya. In the past also, before Gautama, there was a Buddha, and this will keep on happening. In different yugs, there will be different Buddhas. So it reminds us of, you know, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, Satyug, Kali Yug, the concept which we have in Hinduism, and how different avatars of Vishnu will come. Maybe influenced by that this whole thing came, or maybe it is an independent ideology, but it's very similar, you know, Vishnu's avatar, Krishna and all those things. Cool. So again, the code of conduct, 5. Now here see, violence, stealing. This is Panchashil. Generally people don't remember these Panchashil, and we focus more on the eightfold path of Buddhism. When we talk about these Panchashil, have a look at this. It sounds very similar to, when we will talk tomorrow about Jainism, AAABS. In Jainism, we talk about AAABS, that is Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya and Satya. So, Aparigraha, non-possession, Asteya is non-stealing, Brahmacharya, let me write it down, and then we can do a comparative analysis. So, this A is Ahimsa, And these are AAA BS Panch Mahavrata associated with Jainism. So A is Ahimsa, other A is, Asteya. Last A is Aparigraha. We'll talk about them in detail tomorrow also. Brahmacharya. And then S is Satya. So Ahimsa, non-violence, and Asteya, non-stealing, Aparigraha, non-possession, B is Brahmacharya, and S is Satya. Means Aparigraha, non-possession means try to, that's why the Digambar people, they generally remain naked, because they believe that we have not come with anything on this earth and we are not going to take anything with us from, like, when we are going away from this earth when we die. So we should follow Aparigraha, non-possession. And if you compare the Panchashil, which most of the people don't know about Buddhism, you will feel like there is a lot of similarity here, So Ahimsa, and here also they are telling refrain from violence. This Panchashil of like Buddhism, it is very similar to the Ahimsa tenet of Jainism. Stealing, see here, Asteya also talks about non-stealing. Sexual misconduct, Brahmacharya, celibacy or chastity. It is said that, you have 24 Tirthankars in Jainism. Mahavira was the 24th. So it is said that up until 23 Tirthankars, Brahmacharya was not added, and we had only AAAS, if I'm not wrong, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Later on, Mahavira added this Brahmacharya, celibacy or chastity, which is not only about that you don't engage in, sexual activities, etc. It's also about if you are married or something, you can also follow Panch Anuvrata, that don't look at other girls with bad intention and all those things. All those things comes under Brahmacharya. This is Panch Mahavrata, but not all people can follow Panch Mahavrata. So the lay followers, they can do Panch Anuvrata, where Brahmacharya is not about that, I will not marry, or, sexual abstinence, all these things. That is not the only meaning. Other meanings are also there. So again, sexual misconduct, you can compare it with that. Lying or gossip. So again, lying, that is, where is that? Asteya, non-stealing, Aparigraha, non-possession. Lying is not there, na? Lying is not there. Taking intoxicating substances. Telling a lie. Ahimsa, non-violence, Asteya, non-stealing, Aparigraha, non-possession, Satya. Again, lying is also there. So just this taking intoxicating substance, that is drugs or drink, is different. Rest, almost everything is similar in both of them. So you can do this comparative analysis. It will help you in remembering more than this Panchashil. This Panch Mahavrata of Jainism is very important. So you have to keep that in mind. And then again, Varna should be on the basis of action rather than birth. That's what Buddha says. And I think later on, when we talk about Mahatma Gandhi ji and how Mahatma Gandhi ji and Ambedkar sir used to have clashes, you will also see this, that there are many people who believe that Gandhi ji was backward in his approach when it comes to Varna system. And then you will think that no, one of the beliefs is that he talked about Varna system because he believed that it provides that which particular community will be doing what particular work. So maybe some scholars believe that he believed in Varna based on action, which Buddha is saying here. So maybe Buddha influenced Gandhiji's thoughts in that regard. Cool. So again, we are talking about how this Sangha had members from different clans, but it was not all inclusive. We have also earlier discussed that how this particular Sangha was initially apprehensive about women or including women, but later on women were included on the insistence of especially Anand and Upali, who played a crucial role in the compilation of Vinaya and Sutta Pitaka. And then there were some exceptions. Just like you have exceptions in inorganic chemistry, who cannot be part of this Sangha. Debtors, obviously if you have, loans, etc., you will go into Sangha that I am leaving this world. Dude, who will pay your loan? Then slaves, soldiers, you can see there are reasons why these guys are not included in the Sangha, because there are certain caveats associated with these people. You can have a look at them. Then the reasons. These reasons can be asked in pre as well as mains. Why they became very popular. Now there are terms here. First thing first, that they use Pali, this language, role of Pali language. Now there are two terms which most of the people get confused about, Pali and Prakrit. They are also in use when we talk about current affairs per se. So you have to understand Pali as well as Prakrit, how they are same as well as how they are different from each other. See, you have one Sanskrit language, like earlier you had one something called Sanskrit language, Panini's Ashtadhyayi Sanskrit grammar. Then there was some non-Sanskrit language. Non-Sanskrit language or languages. So these non-Sanskrit languages earlier were called Prakrit. Many people believe that this was a derogatory term. derogatory term. So the compilation or the grouping of these non-Sanskrit languages was called as Prakrit, taken as derogatory term. And one of these Prakrit is Pali, Pali, and then there will be other different Prakrits. So please understand this. Many people get confused between local languages of some villages, sir. Very good, eh? Many people get confused between Pali and Prakrit. Pali is one of the Prakrit. Pali is one of the non-Sanskrit language which was very famous during the Buddha's time. Prakrit is not a single language, it's a subset of languages, and generally non-Sanskrit languages were kept in the bracket of Prakrit. So hope you understood some part of it, what is Pali and what is Prakrit. Since they, spread their teachings or talked about their teachings in Pali language, which was the language of the masses, that also made Buddhism popular. And then again we have seen the patronage by Vaishya community, royal patronage by kings like Ashoka. Now if I ask you this particular question, Ashoka gave patronage to which particular Buddhism? If somebody asks you this, Ashoka gave patronage to which particular Buddhism? Was it Mahayana or Hinayana? Be ready for these kind of questions. UPSC will give you 2-3 statements, and one of these statements will be this, that Ashoka gave patronage to which particular sect of Buddhism, Mahayana sect or Hinayana sect. Understand one thing, and here you have to use your common sense. You may feel like, you can write it in the comment section what you feel like, and you can pause me here, and then after writing your comment, you can see what is the answer. Understand one thing, Ashoka was responsible for third Buddhist council. When we had started our lecture, in the initial part of the lecture, I had told you that at the end or at the fourth Buddhist council, Buddhism got divided into Mahayana and Hinayana. So during the period of Ashoka, Mahayana was not there. So how will he give patronage to Mahayana Buddhism? Why most of the people say Ashoka gave patronage to Mahayana Buddhism? Because generally we hear about Harshvardhana, how he gave patronage to Mahayana Buddhism, how he held a assembly at Kannauj. So we have talked about these things, because of which we get confused that maybe Ashoka also gave patronage to Mahayana. Bro, during the period of Ashoka, there was no Mahayana. Ashoka convened third Buddhist council. Mahayana came into existence during the fourth Buddhist council, which happened during the reign of Kushana ruler Kanishka. So don't get confused. Ashoka gave patronage to Hinayana. This is the point which you have to keep in mind. Most of the people make mistake here, just like Manisha did in the comment section. These are small facts, but very important facts. Fine. So again, Ashoka gave patronage, and here Ashoka supported Hinayana school because that was there. Mahayana was not there. Hinayana, Theravada, they were the original school, orthodox school. And again, here they are not talking about too much about rituals and sacrifices, etc. So it appealed to the common man. You can have a look at it. Buddha's personality was very endearing and patronage by monarchies. Again, have a look at it. Then the reasons for decline of Buddhism. You will understand these points. Same rituals and dogmas. See, understand one thing. What they were initially talking about. 64 heterodox sects emerged around 6th century BC, and they are attacking Hinduism. Why? Because they focus on rituals and sacrifices, etc., etc. And they focus even like worshipping of God, and you're creating different statues and sculptures, etc. Later on, what happened? When Mahayana school arrived, they started worshipping Buddha in anthropomorphic form. They started worshipping Buddha as God. So the earlier logic which you had, and again they started doing rituals and sacrifices, because when you will start worshipping Buddha as God, which Hinayana didn't, Hinayana believed that Buddha was one among us, you are doing the same rituals and dogmas which you were criticizing earlier. So what is the difference between Buddhism and Hinduism now? You people were earlier criticizing rituals and sacrifices, idol worshipping, etc., etc. You are doing the same thing now, bro. So there is no difference between you and me. Then in the post-modern period, we have talked about this. Sorry sir, I remember you. Now you mentioned this while talking about the council. Exactly. Remember now. Cool. So the second point is, remember when we're talking about post-modern period, you can go and watch that lecture. We have talked about how Indo-Roman trade became very popular during the post-modern period, 200 BC to 300 AD, 500 years. So much trade happened that even these Sangha people, they started participating in trade. Monks and nuns are participating in trade because it was profitable. The purpose of Sangha, the purpose of you becoming monk and nun is to leave the materialistic world, not to enter into it, right? So again, the large scale idol worshipping, numerous offerings resulted in corruption. Plus, we are seeing what is happening. Degradation is happening, bro. Your monks and nuns, according to Upinder Singh's ancient and early medieval India, I am not making things up. These monks and nuns during the post-modern period started participating in Indo-Roman trade because they loved money. Sometimes everybody loves money. And monks and nuns were no exception in this scenario. All these are reasons for decline. And then you can talk about Pushyamitra Sunga, King Shashank, and later on, when we'll reach into early medieval India and the part of medieval India, Bakhtiyar Khilji, we will see what he will do and how he will kill Buddhists in masse. And that will also lead to decline. So all these multiple factors led or played a crucial role in the decline of Buddhism. Council means, sir, Buddhist council means it's a conglomeration or meeting of people of similar background who are following Buddhism and who want to, first Buddhist council, the meeting was done so that they can compile the Pyqs. Second Buddhist council happened because they had certain differences which led to division of Buddhism into Stharviravadins and Mahasanghikas. Third Buddhist council happened. So these people generally meet for some specific reason. Third Buddhist council happened because they wanted to add some ethical attributes to Pyqs, leading to formation of third Pyq, that is Abhidhamma Pyq. Fourth Buddhist council happened because there were more differences which led to creation of Mahayana and Hinayana. So Buddhist councils are generally meeting of Buddhist people for some specific purpose. We have talked about these purposes. Fine. So now these Buddhist council about which A is asking in the chat box, you have to remember these things. See, most of the people are now very comfortable with the name. We have talked about these guys. First Buddhist council, Ajatashatru. He belongs to which particular dynasty? If you know it, you can post it in the comment section. Welcome, A. So Ajatashatru, we have talked about him when we have talked about Magadha, when we have talked about Mahajanpadas. He belonged to Haranyaka dynasty. And we have also remembered the mnemonic associated with Haranyaka dynasty. That Haranyaka dynasty, the rulers, how will you remember them? The mnemonic was bow bow. Like dogs do bow bow, you have to do bow bow. So Bimbisara, Ajatashatru and Udayan. And here it is Bimbisara. Later on when you will go to Mauryan kingdom, you will have Bindusara. So don't get confused between Bimbisara and Bindusara. They are same but different. Fine. So first 486 again, Rajagriha. We have also seen the mnemonic related to place. That is the easiest thing to remember. The mnemonic associated with Buddhist council are Rava, Paka, Rajgir, Vaishali, Patliputra and Kashmir. This is the mnemonic which we have talked about, right? Ajatashatru, Haranyaka dynasty. How you will remember the rulers? Bau Bau, Bimbisara, Ajatashatru and Udayan. Fine, Mahakashapa was the president. We have discussed this. And I think in today's class I have discussed it for the third time. This is the third time. We have talked about what are the major things associated with First Buddhist Council. Vinaya Pyqk and Sutta Pyqk were compiled. Vinaya Pyqk, rules and regulations for monks and nuns in Sangha, and Sutta Pyqk, teachings of Buddha. Fine. Second Buddhist Council will happen 100 years after, during the period of one ruler who belongs to Shishunaga dynasty. His name is Kalashoka, and there Buddhism will got divided into Stharviravadins and Mahasanghikas. This Mahasangika will later on become Mahayana. How will you remember it? I will tell you. I will tell you a cheat code for that. So 100 years after, in 383 BC in Vaishali, Rava Paka. So this is WVA, Paka means Rava, RAVAPAKA. Kalashoka, he belongs to Shishunaga dynasty. Again, we have talked about him when we have talked about Magadha. Sabakami is the president. Do remember the president. They do ask the president. And here, differences happen. Like Buddhism, when you live together, you will have some differences, and that will lead to division into Stharviravadins and Mahasanghikas. This has been asked by UPSC earlier. Please remember, this Mahasanghikas will later on become Mahayana school. Stharviravadins are Hinayana only or Theravada only. So how will you remember Mahasanghikas became? May I know the difference between dynasty and empire, sir? Empire is generally bigger than dynasty, But again, there can be more differences, but empire, you generally say, or dynasty is a succession of rulers. That is dynasty. And then you have empire, then you have kingdom, and then you have king, different rules. So let's focus here. Stharviravadins, Mahasanghikas. Mahasanghikas will later on become Mahayana during the fourth Buddhist council. Please remember, MM. So Mahasanghikas, Mahayana, Stharviravadins, Hinayana. That's how you will remember. Mahasanghikas also have M, Mahayana also have M. So Mahasanghikas will later on give birth to Mahayana school in 4th Buddhist Council. Cool, bro. That's what is written here. And these Stharviravadins, they are part of Theravada school, from which later on Hinayana will emerge. So Stharviravadins, Theravada, Hinayana, they are sometimes used interchangeably. Matlab, what does it mean is they are one and the same. And they are the orthodox school inside Buddhism. They are the original school inside Buddhism. These are the facts which you have to keep in mind. Then the third Buddhist council during the period of Ashoka, and that's why I've asked you that Ashoka gave patronage to which Buddhism, Mahayana or Hinayana? Hinayana is the original school, Theravada school or Stharviravadan school. During the time of Ashoka, there was no, Mahayana. Mahayana will come during the fourth Buddhist council of Kanishka. So Ashoka and what Mogaliputta Tissa, many people believe, we have talked about Ashoka, we have talked about Mauryan Empire. So there is a story, and in Dipavamsha Mahavamsha only, I think, that he had 100 brothers, he killed 99, one who was left was Mogaliputta Tissa. And again, if you watch Bharat Ek Khoj, you will see Lucky Ali, Na tum jano na hum, kyun chalti hai pavan, ahaha. So Lucky Ali, who sang those songs, he played the role of Tissa in Bharat Ek Khoj, which you can watch for free on like YouTube. But again, don't waste your time right now. Time is money these currently. So he played the role of Mogaliputta Tissa, and many people believe that Ashoka killed 99 brothers, left one who was Tissa and who became the president during the third Buddhist council. So that will help you remember who was this Tissa. He was Lucky Ali, Na tum jano na hum, Bharat Ek Khoj. And again here, third Buddhist council, what is happening? They are writing Abhidhamma Pitak. So all the three Pitaks were not written at the same time. First two Pitaks were written in the first Buddhist council. Again, we are discussing this thing for the multiple number of times. Difference between presidencies and provinces, sir. So again, presidencies, dude, we'll talk about presidencies and provinces. Let's focus on the things which we are discussing, otherwise we will deviate from the topic. So when we are talking, there is A who is talking in the chat section. We'll come to modern history, we'll talk about presidencies. So you have Bombay Presidency, you have Madras Presidency, and then you have Bengal Presidency. So generally what happens? Presidency composed of or made of many provinces. So presidency is generally a bigger entity than provinces. One presidency can have multiple provinces. Hope I made myself clear. But again, ask those questions which are related to this. Monism, etc., which you asked earlier, you can just Google it. And don't think too much about qualified monism. I know Vishishta Advaita and all those have those words. Don't focus too much on those words. Just understand the basic attributes. What was the basic attribute of Bheda, Vishishta Advaita, Advaita and Dvaita. So those are the things which are very important. UPSC is not going to ask that deep. And then if you have to understand monotheism, polytheism, Catholicism, animism, we have discussed about them. So fine. So let's focus here. And again, Abhidhamma Pitak was compiled. Mogaliputta Tissa, who was he? Fourth council, Ravapaka, K.A. Kanishka, Kushana ruler Kanishka, who also gave patronage to Gandhara and Mathura school of art, where Buddha is represented in anthropomorphic form, which is a form like Mahayana school promote that formation of, Mahayana school propounds that Buddha should be represented in, human form, anthropomorphic form. So he supported, or his involvement led to division into Mahayana and Hinayana school. This Mahayana school evolved from Mahasangika school. Cool. The Pitaks were originally written in the non-Sanskrit language Pali. Later on during this period, Sanskrit became a little popular and it was converted. Again, you don't need to do PhD here. You don't need to remember each and every fact. I will tell you. Let me rewind you. Let me rewind all the things which we have discussed. What are the things which are very important? First Buddhist council, the most important thing. You can remember the king and the president. I'm not going there. The most important work out of first Buddhist council, Vinaya and Sutta Pitaks were compiled. Second Buddhist council, the most important work apart from king and president is that Stharviravadins and Mahasangika division happened in Buddhism. Third Buddhist council, the most important work, Abhidhamma Pitak was written. Fourth Buddhist council, the most important work, Mahayana and Hinayana school, they got created. So these are the things which you have. No. There is no disturbance. The only thing is we have to talk about the class which we are discussing. We'll talk about these things here. There is like dynasties and all those things. We'll talk about them. Cool. You deleted that comment, eh? Oh my God. So different schools of Buddhism. So here we'll talk about all these schools which we have discussed earlier. Hinayana, Theravada, they are the orthodox school. In the initial part of the class, when we have started this class, I have told you this, that here the orthodox means original school, Hinayana school. And they believe Buddha is one among us and we will represent Buddha in symbolic form, all these things. So again, the lesser path, Hinayana is known as the lesser path, Mahayana is known as the greater path. We have also discussed this earlier thing. Nobody will tell themselves lesser. Because according to How to Talk to Anyone book, I am currently reading a book called How to Talk to Anyone. So that book says that every person believes that the world revolves around them, that they are the most important person on this planet. And be it anyone, doesn't matter, you are Buddha or anyone whatever they are doing, they believe they are the most important person on this planet. So nobody will tell themselves lesser path. So many scholars now believe, and that is actually a reality according to different sources, that this nomenclature, that Mahayana is the greater path, and I will come to Tantric Buddhism. Just let me finish Hinayana, Mahayana, and then we'll come to Tantric Buddhism, Vajrayana also. So Hinayana is the lesser path. This nomenclature has been given by Mahayana school. They called themselves the greater path and they called Hinayana the lesser path, you know. So this nomenclature is not done by Hinayana school themselves. Cool. And Orthodox school means the original school. Originally, most if not all the Buddhist followers will be Hinayana or Theravada. Cool. Original school, scriptures are in Pali, which is the original language, which was one of the reasons why Buddhism became so popular. Then the second part is Hinayana school. Again, we are talking about Hinayana only. This is the first part only. We'll talk about Mahayana later on. And they treat, again, we have talked about all these things. They treat Buddha as human being. They believe in representing Buddha in symbols. We have talked about different symbols, and ultimate aim is Nirvana here. And here you will see arhats who will try to attain their Nirvana. Later on, when we'll go to Mahayana school, you will see the concept of Bodhisattvas who will delay their own salvation because they want to help other attain salvation. You know, even Aristotle believed that, which was corrected by Galileo. Cool. So at present, found in Sri Lanka, again, majorly found. You have to use the word majorly. Always play safe. Majorly found in Sri Lanka, Myanmar and Thailand. Ashoka gave patronage to Hinayana because during his time, there was no Mahayana. Ashoka was during the time of third Buddhist council, and Hinayana came in the Mahayana came in the fourth Buddhist council. Cool. And again, self-discipline, meditation, have a look at it. Then the Mahayana school, which is the greater path. This nomenclature has been given by Mahayana to themselves, which now when you think about it, it does not look or does not sound that cool. Cool. Heterodox school means it emerged. Originally, like most of the people were Theravada or Hinayana or Stharviravadins. Later on, Mahayana school emerged. Cool. So this is a heterodox school. And it has further two philosophical schools. Now, why we are reading about these? You may feel like, sir, oh my God, these are too much information. See, we have to read about these because UPSC is going too deep into Buddhism. So you have to remember these. Madhyamika, Yogacara, they are sub-school under Mahayana. So let me retrace all these things. So what we have discussed in the second Buddhist council, you have Stharviravad Mahasanghikas. From Mahasanghikas, you had Mahayana. And within Mahayana, you have Madhyamika and Yogacara school. You don't have to do like much PhD here. Yogacara, yoga. So this particular school is focusing on meditation, you know, meditation. And then Madhyamika school, they focuses on Sunya, Sunyavad. Sunyavad means everything is empty. Your theologies, my theologies, everything is empty. At the end, nothing matters. That is Sunyavad in simple terms. So they focused on that, Madhyamika school. Madhyam, don't go with the Madhyam or the middle path. Here the meaning is entirely different when we talk about Madhyamika school. Sounds like Modi Stadium. So, okay, let's not go there. So scriptures are in Sanskrit, Mahayana school. And Buddha equal to God, and they were representing Buddha in anthropomorphic form. And we have talked about that Bodhisattva concept is the central concept of Mahayana. Arhat is associated with Hinayana. So these are some small facts which you have to keep in mind. Spiritual upliftment, present practice means majorly again. Kanishka patronized Mahayana Buddhism, fourth Buddhist council during his reign. Happened during his reign. We have talked about these things. Now we are repeating stuff. Now let's talk about something which we have not talked about up until now, which some people were asking in the comment section about Vajrayana Buddhism. So Vajrayana Buddhism, Tantricism, see, all these religions, they get inspired by each other. At one point of time, even Buddhist or Buddha was supposed to be a reincarnation of Vishnu. So these things happen. So maybe this Vajrayana school, that or the Tantricism or the use of, you know, tantras and mantras, here Buddhism got inspired by Hinduism. But again, that is not the most important part about Vajrayana school. The most important part here is that they believed in two things. One is, you know, they believe in two kind of truths. One is the truth which you are seeing with your senses, you know. And the second truth is the truth which you realize when you have awakened consciousness. So, he is not writing anything political. Okay, so let's focus here. What was I saying? You people write so many stuff in the chat section. Again, let's focus. So Vajrayana school, they talk about two kind of realities. One is the reality which you are seeing from your senses right now, whatever. And let's say the other reality, when let's say you have attained nirvana and you have an awakened consciousness, in that scenario, what you will be seeing, that is another reality. So they talk about two kinds of realities. Fine. So one is conventional truth and other is ultimate truth. Please remember this. Here in the Vajrayana school, the concept of guru is very important and they call gurus as lamas. You must have heard about Dalai Lama. So now you know which school he belongs to. No, it's fine. No need of deleting anything. It's totally fine. It's just that, again, don't worry too much about it. You can write anything you want to write in the comment section. So, Vajrayana school based on two-truth doctrine. Please remember this. They can ask you out of the following school, which school majorly talk about true truth doctrine. Again, this is a tongue twister here. So, conventional truth and ultimate truth. Conventional truth is when we are, not very much, you don't know too much about the world per se and we are very ignorant per se, and when we start doing meditation and yoga and everything and we start realizing the true purpose of life, you may have seen that the people who generally gets mature, they will get angry less, they will realize that we shouldn't be acting in haste. All these things lead to ultimate truth. So conventional truth is a truth of consensus reality and common sense notion of what does and does not exist, what you are seeing in front of you. And then ultimate truth, when you have an awakened mind and then when you are realizing certain stuff, that is ultimate truth. Believe me, when you are doing journaling, the Dalai Lama belongs to Tantric school, so yes. So when you will do online journaling, that will also help you in reaching or transitioning from conventional truth to ultimate truth. You will start realizing who you actually are and what you actually believe in. Please do online journaling. I will suggest everyone. Offline journaling may not be possible for everyone. Online journaling you can do anywhere and everywhere. It helps you in controlling your anger to a very great degree. Cool. So conventional truth, ultimate truth, Vajrayana school. Gurus are very important in Vajrayana school. They are known as lamas. Dalai Lama, now you know he belongs to Vajrayana school. Cool. Let's talk about, let me go back. Let's see. That's what they are writing here. You can have a look at this. So Vikramshila University, they also talked about or promoted Vajrayana. They promoted a lot of things, Vikramshila University. So we have talked about Takshila University. It was created by Achaemenians, Persians. Then we have also talked about Nalanda University, Kumargupta. Can you tell me who created Vikramshila University? These are again facts which are important from exam perspective. Like Takshila University, Achaemenians or Persians, right? And then you had Nalanda, Kumargupta. Then Vikramshila University. Who made it? It was, I will just give you a hint, Pala dynasty is associated with creation of Vikramshila University, if I am not wrong. You have to find out the specific Pala. Is it Gopala or Dharampala or some other Pala? Whatever you know, you can post it in the comment section. Vikramshila Dolphin Protection Sanctuary, also famous, sir. Very good. Vikramshila, Bhagalpur. So again, two-truth doctrine we have talked about. Vajrayana school, the concept of guru is very important and that is known as Lama. Then great Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattva, I am telling you again and again, this is a concept associated with Mahayana school. These are those people who will delay their own salvation, delay their own nirvana because they will help you attain nirvana. And there are different types of Bodhisattvas. So if you want wisdom and insight, Manjushri is the Bodhisattva whom you have to meet, right? And if you want compassion, if you want somebody to hug you, give you a tight hug. So Avola, Kiteshwar, Padma Pani or Lokeshwar is there. Padma Pani painting is in Ajanta caves. This point you have to keep in mind. They have asked a lot of questions. So, and these are all same. These are synonyms. So pay attention. Avalo, Kiteshwar, Padma Pani and Lokeshwar are same. If you want some energy, if you want some power, go to Vajrapani. If you want to, the current Buddha his period will end, future Buddha will come, he will be Maitreya. And in between the current Buddha, let's say he has gone, future Buddha has yet not arrived, who will fill the void? Kshitij Garbha. You may feel like, sir, these are so technical concepts. Just remember the name. The more you see them, the more you will remember them. So don't worry too much about it. We will see so many questions on them, you will remember them. This is important. Avola, Kiteshwar, Padma Pani and Lokeshwar, they are same. They have so much compassion. They will give you a tight hug. Cool. And again, mudras. Like we have talked about dharma, dharma spash mudra and how Buddha did not come into he was not influenced by all the insight or enticing done by demon Mara. Are these individuals? They are individuals, they are gods. According to different people, they are different entities, Manisha. So we don't know who they were. We just know these are the entities who are bodhisattvas who will help other attain nirvana first before attaining their own nirvana. So mudras, what they are? Generally, even when you do meditation, people will say, do this, don't just do meditation like this, because when you are making certain hand gestures and feet gestures, then you are invoking deity in different ways. So these mudras, you will see them in Buddhism also, you will see them in Hinduism also. So they are there in different religion. And again, these are some commonalities. So we have to remember some specific mudra. And again, they have written here that how you are invoking the deity when you are doing certain things. And that's why they say that in our Hindi, they say palthi marlo when you're doing certain breathe in, breathe out. Because when you're doing all those things and sitting in correct postures, you are invoking the deity. So these are some mudras. What are specific mudras in Buddhism? 3 we have to focus on. Dharmchak mudra, setting the wheel of dharma in motion. This in a way is symbolizing the first sermon, which means Buddha gave at Sarnath, and setting into motion. So once this started, means Buddha gave his first sermon and then it spread, it spread to different areas. So there is a specific symbol associated with it. They are not going to ask you, they have never done that. They give you this particular image and then they ask you which particular mudra it is. Just remember, what does Dharmchak mudra stands for? Setting the wheel of dharma in motion. That's it. And then Bhumi, this is Dharmchak. And then Bhumi Sparsh Mudra, we have had a discussion on this. It is a way of Buddha telling to earth goddess Thavara that I was not enticed by demon Mara. So that is Bhumi Sparsh Mudra. As the name suggests, he will try or show that he is touching Bhumi or earth. And third is Varada Mudra, which shows compassion. There are 5 fingers and they will show different degree of compassion. Varada Mudra. So Varada Mudra symbolizes charity, compassion and boon granting. So just remember, it is related to compassion, generosity, morality. And how does it look like? Something like this. So these 3 mudras you have to keep in mind. Dharmchakra mudra, Bhumi Sparsh mudra and Varada mudra. And what do these mudras stands for? Entity is a non-controversial term, sir. These days I try to stay away from as much like controversy as possible. So let's solve some PYQs, and at the end, you can post in the comment section how many PYQs you got correct and what was your score. If you want it, you can post it and that will be a good habit. So this is your first Buddhism PYQ. What is the answer of this particular question? Who among the following presided over the Buddhist council held during the reign of Kanishka at Kashmir? So they are talking about 4th Buddhist council. Manisha has given the answer. And the answer is Vashumitra. And then there was another guy, Ashwaghosh. So the answer is D, Vashumitra. Next question, and this is very rare that UPSC repeated the same question in 2014 as well as 2015. Which of the following kingdoms were associated with the life of Buddha? Avanti, Gandhara, Kaushal and Magadha. One, 2, 3, 2 and 4, 3 and 4, 1, 3 and 4. So again, here they are not asking, like, you can say every kingdom in some way got influenced by Buddha, but they are saying during the life of Buddha, he was associated with which of the kingdoms? And this we have discussed when we are seeing the map of Mahajanpadas. A has given the answer, Umesh has given the answer. So we have seen Magadha, he attained enlightenment, nirvana, So Magadha has to be there. If Magadha has to be there, eliminate this. Kaushal has to be there. His mother was from Kaushal clan, Kaushal princess. So third will be there because he will go to his mother's house, It's so close. Shakya clan is so close to Kaushal kingdom. So Kaushal Mahajanpad rather. So third has to be there. So eliminate option. Now you are left with C and D. Avanti Mahajanpad is very far away from Buddha. We don't see anything Buddha doing during his lifetime in Avanti. Maybe later on every kingdom of Mahajanpad became influenced by Buddhism some way or the other. But here they are saying associated with the life of Buddha, and we hear about Kaushal and Magadha. So answer is C, 3 and 4. During that time there was no bike or something, because see, we are talking about Buddha who was here. From here he went to here. Avanti is very far. He did not have any motorcycle, bike, pulsar, etc. to go to these areas. So via that particular logic, you can eliminate some options and you get the answer. Fine. Next question. In the Mahayana Buddhism, the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshwar was also known as, these kind of questions they have asked a lot. My Telegram, I am not on Telegram right now, means I have not created any official Telegram ID per se. I am just on LinkedIn. That's it. And no other, Facebook or Instagram or nothing, because I believe that takes away a lot of time. But I think in future I will be making an official Telegram ID. So I will be giving you that, you people that. So in the Mahayana Buddhism, the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshwar was known as you people said, Padmapani. Next question. With reference to Indian history, who among the following is a future Buddha yet to come to save the world? Avalokiteshwara, Lokeshwara, Maitreya, Padmapani. Thank you, Manisha. Future Buddha yet to come to save the world. Very good, Manisha, Umesh and other people. The answer is Maitreya. He or she is a future Buddha who will come to save the world. Next question asked in 2016. With reference to the religious history of India, consider the following statement. The concept of Bodhisattva. Arey yaar, I have shown you the answer. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's see the question. Let's suppose you have not seen the answer. Solve this question. And if you have seen the answer, tell me the logic. So, concept of Bodhisattva is central to Hinayana sect of Buddhism. Bodhisattva is a compassionate one on his way to enlightenment. Bodhisattva delays achieving his own salvation to help all sentient beings on their path to it. What is the answer to this question? First of all, a concept of Bodhisattva is not central to Hinayana. We have just discussed it multiple times that it is central to Mahayana school. So, first will go away. So, A gone, D gone. You are left with B and C. 2 and 3 only, 2 only. He is a compassionate one on his way to enlightenment. He will not attain his own nirvana. So, second has to be correct. Second is already there. We don't even need to check it. And again, third is the definition. They delay their own salvation to help all sentient beings on their path to it. So, the answer is B, 2 and 3 only. Very good. Next question. Let me go slowly. There is a song also. So, Lord Buddha's image is sometimes shown with the hand gesture called Bhumi Sparsh Mudra. It symbolizes. What does it symbolizes? Yeah, so it's not central, no. Bodhisattva is not associated with Hinayana, it is associated with Mahayana. Bhumi Sparsh Mudra, what does it symbolizes? The answer is Buddha's calling of the earth to witness his purity and chastity despite the temptation of Mara. We have discussed it. He is talking to God, means earth goddess, that he was not tempted by this demon Mara or whoever she was, or he or she was. We don't know. So again, he is not calling the earth to watch over Mara. He is just saying that, see, goddess earth, I was not tempted by Mara. She did whatever she had to, but I was not tempted by Mara. So the answer is B. This is a good question. And again, I think most of you were thinking about it. So do revise these questions. These are important. And again, there are mudras. You can have a look at them. Let's see this question. Which one of the following describes best the concept of nirvana in Buddhism? Which one of the following it describes best the concept of nirvana in Buddhism? Oh, sorry for that, Manisha. Hello, hello. Extinction of flame of desire, the complete annihilation of self, a state of bliss and rest, a mental stage beyond all comprehension. So it is, what is nirvana? The extension of flame of desire. So let's say you are earning 1 lakh, you'll feel like, I need to earn 1.5 lakh per month. When you are earning 1.5 lakh per month, you feel like, oh my God, that guy is earning 2 lakh per month and I'm a better faculty than him. Why not I'm earning 2 lakh per month? So this will keep on going, bro. It has no limits. So you have to extinct this flame of desire, and that is nirvana. There is no end to this nirvana. This Sir Dada J.P. Vaswani, you can read more about him. See how good statement, like what an awesome statement it is. Desire is never satisfied by the enjoyment of objects of desire. It will lead to more desire. It grows from more to more, as does the fire to which fuel is added. So desire is like fire. The more you achieve, the more you want to achieve, and it will keep on going, and ultimately it will kill you. So don't get killed. Keep a tab on your desire. Attain nirvana. So again, you people were asking about the prelims crash course PDF. So you can get the link in the description, and you can get the crash course PDFs from here. StudyIQ course detail free prelims crash course, and you will get all the PDFs here. And let's say if you are not seeing any PDF right now, you will find it 1 or 2 days from now. So don't worry too much about it. Link will be in the description part of this, wherever you're watching the video. So don't worry too much about it. You will get the PDFs. So that's it for this particular lecture. We are done with Buddhism. Please revise these questions. As you people keep on asking me, sir, apart from this lecture, do we need to read anything else? I keep on telling you, anything which you are studying from me in this prelims crash course, you don't need to read any more source, because there is no limit to source. You will keep on reading it and you will not clear UPSC Prelims 2025. I have to be blunt here. The only thing which you have to do now, read this source multiple number of times, solve the PYQs, then solve some more mocks, like mock, give you full length test, FLTs. If you are getting some more new information, add it in your notes where you are making these notes. That's it. You will clear UPSC Prelims 2025. Just follow and stick to one thing and do multiple revision. Minimum source, maximum revision, you must have heard about it. So that's it for today. Very good Manisha, she got all correct. And I will see you people tomorrow at 7 p.m. Take care, be blessed,